Okay, so thanks. Hello, my name is Roger. I'm from the Department of Informatics at the University of Oslo. I'm a scientist, so I do research and I also do teaching of mathematics and computer science. And
and my name is Bjerknes. On a daily basis, I work in a company called Dyre Systems, and I'm working on all the large contracts that the company has in the Norwegian government. But today we are here to talk about our project which we have called Smart Juggling Balls with Visual Amplification. So I think the first thing we shall do is to just explain what it is all about, because I think visual reinforcement is not something people have seen before in the context of juggling balls, and also why do the balls have to be smart? What's the point of all this? so why don't we just try to make this some light? That would be great. Okay, there we are. So we can juggle balls like this. This is a juggle pattern. But I can also juggle different kind of patterns. For instance, this is a different juggling pattern. And as I toss the balls back and forward, some juggling patterns look pretty much the same, even though they are different. So for instance, compare this pattern, doing here, to this pattern. And you have to pay very close attention to notice that one of the balls is actually staying in the right hand all the time. So what we can do, what's called visual amplification, is that we exchange the ball with a ball in a different color, and then voila, it happens by itself. It's magic. Great. And then now it becomes very clear when I juggle the same pattern that the blue ball is the one that always stays in my right hand. The two other balls are crossing over. And that's cool. I can do this on both sides. Left side, blue on the right side, blue on the left side. It's all cool. But this juggling ball, the blue one, is stupid, because if this ball was a little bit smart, it would be blue there, and then when it changes side, it would realize that it's changing side, and it would change color into the same color as these balls. So that only when it goes back to the same hand, it will actually have the blue color, and otherwise the purple or pink, whatever you call it. So if we're going to make this ball smart for you, let's see how this works out. So now the balls are computing the juggling pattern being juggled, and it has already realized that occasionally it goes back to the same hand. Oops, my mistake. So let's see, there we are. I know it should go blue. It should go blue. So this is what we call smart visual amplification. The balls understand the juggling pattern being juggled and change the color accordingly. So what we're going to talk about, yes, you have a question? Yes, sure.
So it was doing it by itself and he wasn't pushing any buttons?
No, it's completely by itself. His only role is to change the program. So because there are many different programs in the ball, and you can send a radio signal from the computer to make the balls behave differently. So to switch on the colors, switch off the colors. You could probably do some zero-G detection as well. Can you just try zero-G? So now the ball has one color in the hand and one in the air. There are different programs that he's just telling how the balls to behave. So what this talk is all going to be about is what is necessary to make this happen? What are the kind of requirements that need to be fulfilled for the balls to be smart? So I think first Roger is going to talk a little bit about the theory of juggling, and then we're going to talk about the electronics and the contents of the ball and the data. So please.
okay. So to explain a little bit about the theory behind the project, I'm going to give you some background on mathematics, first of all, and then the mathematics of juggling, and then we're going to go back to our project with the ball. And then you will be able to understand much more of why we are doing what we are doing. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about mathematics from my point of view. So what is mathematics all about? Well, these are tie knots. So, for instance, you can do the mathematics of knots. And you can say that, yeah, there are several ways to tie a knot. For instance, these are 3 different ways to tie a knot. And then you make a mathematical analysis in order to find out what are the limitations, how many possible ways are there to tie a knot, etc., etc. So this is just an example of mathematics. And I will explain to you afterwards what this has to do with juggling. So, in order to make a mathematical analysis of tie knots, you start off with, let's say, there are 2 ways to start. You can start going under or you can go over, okay? And let's say you always start on the left-hand side. After you've done that, you have 3 areas. You have one in the top, and you have a left and the right-hand side. So you have 3 main areas. So you can then either go, when you're on the inside, you can go left out, you can go right out, or center out, I mean, or right out. And when you're on the outside, you can go in, and you have 3 ways to go in, right? You can go left in, center in, or right in. And then when you're finished, you all have to do like this, or you have to do like this. But I mean, essentially, when you've gotten this far, it's determined. So if we go back now to the 3 knots that we saw, the oriental knot is left out, right in, center out, and then tie, etc., etc. So you have now a tool for analyzing tie knots. Well, why does that matter? Well, there was a mathematician, his name was Thomas Fink, and he was really curious about how many ways are there to tie knots. And he made the analysis. There are 85 possible ways to tie knots. There are certain limitations, of course, to get to this number. There are only 9 layers, so that's just a limit that you put forward. 13 of these are so-called aesthetic knots. I'm not going to go into the theory of knots, so let me just go through this very fast. 9 of these were new, so 4 of them were known, and so by means of the mathematical analysis, you discovered new knots. Knots that no one ever tried, or perhaps they tried it, but they didn't know how. So this is the reference from 2000. Okay, so this is, from my point of view, is what mathematics is all about. It's about representation. It's about finding patterns. It's about making a precise analysis of something, whether or not that's juggling or tie knots. But it's also about imagination, and also creativity and exploring things further. So by means of mathematics, we can go one step further. We can find new ways to tie knot, for instance. Or we can find new ways to tie our shoes. So there's another mathematical analysis, and even an entire book about tying your shoes. You can, how do you tie your shoes with the most the longest string, yes, or the shortest one, or the most dense one, or the most open one. Perhaps you only want to show these. And there is a total, this is in a little part of the book, so you have a full analysis of this. Okay.
Can I just small comment? Because after reading this, I actually discovered that I've been tying my shoes wrong for the last 38 years. It's really embarrassing. I read this book and I said, oh, but that's why they always not itself. In other words, a different way and change tables. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is about representing something. You take something in the world. I mean, in physics, they do this all the time. They see balls bouncing, and they take something and they make a model of it, and then you're able to understand the world and then do something about it. So that's what mathematics is about. So representation, it's about the art of finding the right notation. You have to have some kind of language in order to represent what you're doing. So this is an example of a mathematical notation that goes 300-400 years back. And this is Leibniz from 1675, and he totally changed mathematics. And, okay, so this is also a notation. This is notation for dancing. As a matter of fact, it's called the calm notation for step dancing. So he made a notation for what kind of, where you should put your feet at what point in time. So we use representations all the time in art and in science. And this is also just another example of that. So let me tell you now what mathematics of juggling, where we actually do take a phenomenon and make a model of it with some mathematics. So there's a notation system for juggling patterns called CC-Lizenz, which I will briefly introduce you to now. It was created by mathematicians and computer scientists in the mid-80s, and it was just independently, and they came to the same kind of notation system independently of each other. So that's evidence that it's a really good system and it's natural. So we have some basic assumptions in juggling. So the first assumption is that I'm going to juggle with alternate hands.
So at the front directed. So whenever I close the bolt, I throw the left hand and right hand alternating.
Yes. There's another way of juggling where you juggle with your hands simultaneously, and that's a different kind of juggling.
Yeah, I can't do this. I can only do space.
That's simple juggling. So, and you also juggle with a regular beat. So there's an even steady beat going. So I juggle. So there's a beat, underlying beat all the time. It's regular. It's To be fast or slow, it's regular. And if a ball lands, it has to be rethrown. So there's no hiding of balls, no balls are suddenly appearing as well. So there's a constant number of balls. So let's look at the definition of side swap number. Definition is side swap number of a throw is how many throws later the ball is rethrown. So now, if you can see it, look at the green one. The green one is thrown every third beat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You see this? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if I juggle 4 balls, the green one is thrown every 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's thrown every 4 times, and then it's called 4. And previously it's called 3. So we put numbers to throws.
So it's related to the number of balls in here?
It is related to the number of balls I have. If I throw 4 balls regularly, this is called 4 because I throw 4s all the time, and now I throw 3s all the time. So it's related, but it's So, but I can go very fast through it. So this is my juggling pattern with 3 balls. So the red ball is thrown it's going from the left hand to the right hand, and then from the right hand to the left hand. So I apologize because I have to go through this really quickly now. I would, spend 10 minutes on doing this whole thing, but well, I think you get this. So I'm going to go through it quite fast. So the red ball is rethrown in the third beat, so this is just called 3. So I can do the same with 4, and I just did that, so that's called a 4. And here we see that the left hand throws a 4, and it lands in the left hand again. So if you look at the red ball, it lands in the same hand. The balls are not crossing, right? So this hand is doing this hand is doing this, more or less independently. And that's a property of even numbers, or even throw. Okay, so this is a pattern with 2 balls. This is called a 3-1. So this is what most of you do when you get 2 balls. You do this. And if you analyze it, the red ball is 3, and then it's a 1, and then it's a 3. And if you count it, it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, throw, 2, 3, throw, throw, 2, 3, throw. So it takes, in total, 3 plus 1, 4, before it's round again. So there's another way of throwing 2 balls. It's like this, and it looks like this. This is simply called a 2. 1, 2. The red ball is thrown every other time, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And there's a simple way of doing this. It's just like doing this. I can just stand here. Now I'm still throwing 2s. But this is called a passive 2. The previous one was called an active 2. Okay, so now you know all the numbers. What would a 1 look like? Well, the definition of a number is that how many throws later is it rethrown. Now 1 means that it's thrown back immediately. So I have 1, and it's immediately going back. So 1, 1, 1, 1. And all the premises, all the assumptions are valid. It's a regular beat, alternating hands, and the ball gets rethrown all the time. So this is a pattern, and it's called 1. So now you know all the numbers, and then we can combine the numbers and make patterns. So I can juggle 4, 3, 2, for instance. This is 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, sorry. 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, okay, etc. And not all sequences of numbers are juggleable. And then you can get into more of the mathematics of it. And you can take one pattern and then get another pattern and do all the mathematics of this. And precisely like with the tie knots and the shoelaces. After you got the mathematical analysis of juggling, you were able to juggle different patterns that you were not able to juggle before. Or you were able to, but you didn't know them. So 4-4-1, for instance, like this, is probably a new pattern that was discovered because of the good mathematical analysis. So I throw 4-4-1, 4-4-1, 4-4-1, 4-4-1, 4-4-1, etc. So that, excuse me?
Is the possibility provable? So does the mathematical analysis show you if the pattern is provable or not?
Yes. So if you give me a sequence of numbers, I'm more or less immediately able to say whether or not it's juggleable. I won't necessarily be able to juggle it, but the first property is that the average of the number is an integer. That's equal to the number of balls. Yeah.
Okay. So can I try a sequence?
Yes.
What about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Can you dribble that?
Yes, I can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many balls would that be? What's the average of those 5 numbers? Mathematical test, everyone. What's the average of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Hi. Come on. Is it 2? No. Is it 3? Yes, this is 3. So if you add all the numbers, you get 15, and you divide by 5, and then you get 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be like this. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, could you perhaps show me the simple one?
We haven't started yet.
Yeah. So there's a little bit, yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So there's a long story. We have to get moving, unfortunately. But okay. So why is it called side swap? I will briefly tell you this as well. Now this is a pattern with 4 balls. This is the red, green, white, white, red, green, white, white. So I already showed you this. The red, green, white, white looks like this. Red, green, white, white, red, green, white, white, red, green, white, white, like this. Now what happens if and those are not crossing, right? What happens if I throw a 5 here, from here to here? So there's a much longer one from left to right. And if I continue in the same fashion with the 4, those 2 will land in the same hand. So if I juggle a 5 and then a 4 right after that, they will land in the same hand. And that's not good. And I will not be able to catch those in the same hand. So a way to solve that is to juggle a 5 and then perhaps use this little space in here and juggle a 3 instead. So a 5 and a 3, and then I can just continue with 4s, just like I did. So what this mathematical analysis tells me that I will be able to juggle 4s and then a tall one and a short one, and then continue like nothing ever happened, right? So I should do this now with red, green, white, white, red, green, white, white, and I'm going to throw the red one high and then the green one low, and then just continue. So the red one's coming up, red, okay, like that. So the red and the green changes sides. Now I'm going to do the same with the green and the red. So 5, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So those 2 are changing, they're swapping. So that's why it's called a side swap. Okay. Now I want to show you something and say something about R, because of this mathematical analysis, we get to the bottom of a complexity that lies underneath. So this, if you can see this, I'm not sure if you can, but these are 2 jugglers, and the pattern they're juggling is shown above. So because they have this wonderful notation system, you can give them instructions, and they're able to do this thing because they know it adds up. They're also bouncing, so when it's little b, it's called a bounce, and a PB is a passing bounce. And here is another example, now with 9 balls and 2 people, so they have an average 4.5 balls each. And they know that this adds up. They know exactly what to do because they have done the math, right? So I would also like you to show some other examples of what is possible. So this is an example with, it should be 5 jugglers. Yes. So this is filmed from above, and this I should say is a French juggling group called Gandini. And they are really using, I mean, they're exceptional artists, but they're also really good at doing the analysis. So they have pushed this notation system forward, and they're able to do things that combines art and science in a really wonderful way. Now we can add jugglers to this. So this is 5, and I can add 2 jugglers, and then I have 21 objects. And you can do things like this. Now they're throwing every third throw, it's a pass. They're doing self, 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 and then pass. So, as a juggling pattern, this is not really difficult, but it's nevertheless very beautiful, I think. So, these are 10 people now doing the same thing, I think. So I'm showing you this in order to. I'm doing it because science inspires art. I mean, we are able to do more interesting and better art because of science, because of mathematical analysis, and this is proof of that. Okay, so now let's get on to the business with our project. So you want to take over?
Sure, I can talk for a little while.
Yeah.
Do you do the slides or do I do the slides? Okay, cool. So remember that initially what I showed you was a juggling ball, which understood how it was being juggled and it changed color according to how I was throwing it. I know that we have learned about side swap. You remember that when I was tossing the ball, then long throw to the other hand. Roger kind of explained that is called a 3, and then it's thrown a little bit higher back to the same hand, that's called a 4. So really what was happening with the previous example that I gave in the beginning was that the balls were able to distinguish between a 3-throw and a 4-throw and set the color accordingly. So we said also that we needed two things to achieve this. The first thing we needed was the notation system that Roger just explained, the theory of juggling. But of course the balls also need to know when they are thrown, when they are landed, and how the other balls are landed and thrown. So to do this, you need a little bit of electronics. So what I'm just going to briefly talk you through is the content of the ball and how they actually communicate. So be able to analyze the patterns. So here we are. So I'm sure that some of you are familiar with something called Arduino. Are you familiar? So it's a kind of open source Italian project for doing embedded electronics. So what we did was to design our own circuit board based on Arduino. And we have, you can see here, Arduino chips placed on the circuit board. In the middle, you have an accelerometer, it's a little electronic device that measures acceleration and braking and so on. And it's a 3-axis accelerometer. It measures in 3 different directions, like X, Y, and Z. And then we use the microcontroller to read up the signals at a certain frequency, in our case 200 times a second. We sample the state of the ball, and then we can determine whether the ball is being held in the hand or being waved around, or whether it's actually in free fall, that is, it's actually being thrown. In addition, we have a radio, and that is the huge golden thing that you can see in the back here, and I think you can see a red wire here, it's the antenna for the radio. And all of the balls have such a radio with them, so they can do two-way communication, they can exchange data. So every time a ball is thrown, it will broadcast on the radio, because it can measure when it's in the air and when it's in the hand. It broadcasts to all the other balls that, hey, I have just been released. And then all the other balls can say, well, that's good, now I know that something has been thrown in while the time is going. And they can use this information to count up the number of beats or number of other balls are being thrown while between itself is being thrown. So that's electronics. This is just a little chip to communicate on the USB port, so we can review programs and new software and so on. And of course we have all the LEDs that we are using, like 3-color LEDs, and we can mix the colors and so on to change the color. What else do we have? Let's see. Oh yeah, here's the schematic. So I use a software called Eagle, which is like you can get a free version of Eagle, a German company called Cutsoft, I think, where you can do circuit design and so on. So this is just a principle drawing of how everything is connected together. So you can see the light emitting diodes on this part. You can see some transistors that are used to switch on and off the light emitting diodes, because the Arduino chip can't supply all the power by itself, so we need some digital switches. What else do we have here? There's a radio somewhere. I can't see properly actually. Oh yeah, here's the radio somewhere. It is the communication part, and then there's the FTD chip that takes care of the USB communication. And once we have the schematics, where we kind of principle drawing of how things are going to be connected together, we can then design the PCB, which is the layout and the placement of the components and so on. But I think if you look carefully, you can see that the accelerometer is placed just in the middle of the ball. And that is to prevent that when the ball is rotating, we don't want the accelerometer to feel a force in any of the axes, so that it still detects the free fall detection. It helps if it was an edge to be much more sensitive to rotation. But even if it's in the middle, if you spin the ball really hard, it won't be able to do the free fall detection. Yeah, so then we have to make all the PCB layout and so on, and then we send this file to a company somewhere, and then we get the PCBs nicely manufactured backwards. And then we have to do that for soldering. So, oh, here it is, the first one soldered together. Put in one single small magnetic diode. We haven't even connected the USB plug yet, so we just program it over the AVR controller for the microcontroller, just to see that everything is kind of hooked together in the right way. This little thingy crystal here is a crystal which provides the clock for the microcontroller. It's a 60 MHz clock, so it makes sure it goes on even speed. Yeah, then we start a small serial production, manufacturing several boards. And then here's another, which is completely formed up with LEDs and everything.
What radio is it? Bluetooth?
I'm sorry?
What radio is it?
It's something called Easy Radio. And we did not have that much time to actually develop our own radios and so on. So we just buy a fixed complete radio. So it's 840 MHz, I think, 830 MHz. And it has a range with a good antenna in the free line of sight, maybe 100 meters, 150 meters. But we have a core antenna, we put all together inside the ball. So I think the real range, this kind of configuration is maybe like 20 or 30 meters. It seems to be attenuated, but it works very good for our purposes. It transmits at 19,200 bits per second, so it's very well banded. But we just want to transmit location wide, so it's more than sufficient for our purposes. Yeah, then we just Roger wrote a program to see if they communicate the way the radio should communicate. So each of the boards are given a unique ID, I believe, and then we just made a running program to make them communicate. Do you want to say a little bit about the signal processing version?
I think we need to speed up a little bit.
Speed up a little bit, okay.
So we could actually show that. So if you get those back,
okay.
So and turn them off, we can make a live demonstration now.
How many do you have yet?
3, 4, 5, 10.
The last branch couldn't start.
Oh, there it is.
So hopefully, if this works. So here I have a small processing program.
Can I take this one?
It's all, yes, it's up. Okay, so this now is this ball live. So I have a radio receiver there. So this ball now is active and sending out its accelerometer data in like X, Y, Z. So the red, green, and blue is respectively X, Y, Z. So if I put it down, it's quiet. I can make sine waves by rolling it around like this. And I can find out where the axes are. So if I hold it like this, so I'm able to move only one of them and hold it still. But this is a problem. I'm not really interested in the X, Y, Z. I'm interested in the total amount of force applied to the ball. So if we take X squared, Y squared, and Z squared, just sum them up and take the root of that. So if you could push F. Yeah. This is the white one. So now if I put it down on the table and roll it around, it's more or less a straight line. So if I throw it up and catch it, we get these patterns like this. So and this is what we do in order to find out when is the ball in the air. So now it's programmed to light up exactly when this is 0. And you get this characteristic. This is a lot of force applied to the ball when I throw it, and when I catch it again, there's also lots of force applied to the ball. And then we use this in science communication in order to talk about physics and acceleration and velocity and speed. So if you push V now, it's our attempt to determine the speed of the ball. So the speed of the ball is now 0. When I throw it up and catch it, so I get lots of positive speed, and then speed is 0 in the middle of the free fall, and then that's on the top, and then the speed is negative. So it's falling, or the velocity is negative, so it's falling back. So it should look like this. And because of small calibration errors, it's not precisely in the middle of the free fall, but usually it is. So we are able to detect when the ball is actually on the top. Then we try to do experiments in order to make interesting patterns. So make it light up, for instance, on the top But it's very hard to juggle actually. It blinks on the top and then it comes down. So not all these ideas are very good for making interesting visual effects. But this is one thing we can do with balls. Yeah. So we can also show you the pattern detection. So this. Okay, really have to speed up now. So
one question for the weight, how much grams you have now? What is a different juggle?
They weigh 93 grams.
And the normal one is as well 19, or
Yeah,
if there's a norm for...
90 is a very comfortable weight.
Okay.
So the first one, the Victoria one I had here, I didn't know how to give them weight, so I just took some silicone that is used for the bathroom, you know, for between tiles in the bathroom, and I just injected a lot, so they are way too heavy. They are like 200 grams, and you get really tired to juggle them for a long while. Also, because of the shell, if they go to the ground, which they occasionally do.
And the electronic doesn't use so much battery, I think. It's battery, what kind of battery you have?
In the next talk, we're actually going to talk about all the design and all that kind of stuff and how things fit together. So there will be a talk after this talk about that topic.
Okay, so I think we wrap up in about 2 minutes.
I think so, yeah.
So this has the pattern. I now uploaded a pattern recognition program to the ball. So if I juggle only once, or with no in between, it's red, and this also is red. But if I start to juggle 2, they detect this, so then they become yellow. So if I stop the one again, it's red. So this actually now detects how many throws are in between, which is exactly the size swap number. If I do 3 balls, they should become green immediately. And then I can actually give you a visual. If I juggle a little bit unprecise or signals disappear, it's yellow. But now I can give you visual proof that if I do like this is only 3s. Otherwise, they wouldn't be green, right? So it looks very much different. But if I actually do a different pattern like this, now the ones in the columns should become blue. Yes, because blue is the color of the 4. Yeah. If I do it precisely and there's no errors, at least. So in this way they communicate and share information. And one point that we haven't mentioned is this is decentralized. We don't have a central computer that does the work for us. They communicate only together.
So that goes back to the question that you asked.
Yeah.
Is he actually doing something? No, he's not.
Yeah.
The balls are actually doing all the computational calculations by themselves.
And so we have also hooked this up to music. I don't know if is it hooked up to the speaker? My computer? Just a simple test. All right. So yeah. I think it's fine. Now it's all a bit. So I map this to hi-hat, the 2s, and the snare is the green. And the bass is the 4, so I should be able to juggle 4, 4, 1, 3, and should become. It's very hard. I mean, and now and we had this problem before. I'm not really sure.
I think the 3 is a bit too high. Actually.
Okay.
The 3 is probably too high.
Ooh, okay. Okay, you get the point. I think there should be a reset or something. Anyway, you get the point. So when calibrated, it should generate interest in drum music.
Quantize maybe could be.
What?
The quantize easier also.
Yes. I mean, there's all sorts of things we could go into, but we are now need to get on to the second part.
Can you juggle rock and roll?
I will not try to do it now. Because they are not. Yeah.
What does dubstep look like?
Free jazz.
We need to practice this. Yeah. Are there any questions really fast?
This is also very fun.
Yeah, it feels good.
It does. But it's very unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun actually. Yeah, cool.
Like, intuitively, I feel like the beach can happen when it lands in my
Oh, we
hand.
had a long discussion about that. So but from a side swap perspective, you want it in the moment it's released, because that is when the side swap number should be determined to get set the color correctly. So it may be that it should set the color when you release the ball, and then it should make the sound when it lands.
Yeah, but
It just feels like,
yeah,
like while I'm hitting those smash, smash, smash.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Okay. Well, I think we're
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Okay, so I think we took a break and that we are at the stage. Will you come and join me on stage?